Okay.
Thompson.
What's that?
Oh no, he's just walking his dog. I thought someone was coming.
No. All right. We call the meeting to order. Welcome to the September 2nd, 2025 workshop meeting. We'll go to the business of our agenda. First up is the 2026 budget development update.
Good afternoon. I wanted to take a few minutes to provide a brief update on where we stand with the development of the 2026 budget. We kicked off the budget process in early August, and we're currently in the departmental submission phase where each team is preparing their budget requests. These are due to be entered by September 12th, and then we'll review those requests internally before bringing them to you probably in October. We remain on target to have a proposed budget presented to you in November and voted on in December. We're building the budget around a few key assumptions. First, we're projecting about a $700,000 loss in earned income tax. According to Keystone Collections, this is largely attributed to a non-resident decrease. 82.2% of the total non-resident decrease was attributable to a single employer in the township. This could be due to a number of factors, which we simply don't know. A municipality could have enacted an earned income tax, or a high earner may have retired. Our collections could also be down due to the economy. I know in speaking with a neighbor of mine who's self-employed, he's chosen to forego making quarterly payments and will wait until the end of the year for cash flow reasons. Our pension obligation increased by about $130,000 due to market returns. This does not account for some assumption changes in our assumed rate of return, which is currently high at 8%. And we'll have to have some additional conversation around that. And our trash contract is expected to increase about $91,000 next year. We recently did a survey about satisfaction with service, and while trash and recycling were generally viewed positively, yard waste and bulk trash need some work, which may drive that increase even more. And finally, electric costs are expected to increase by about $60,000 due to increased capacity costs. This increases regardless of our energy provider. While we have a number of potential developments resulting in higher than usual building permit fees, we're hesitant to use them for the operating budget as they're really one-time fees. We're looking at increasing our permit fees so the steady state building permits are enough to cover the cost of the building and zoning department. And while that's the general fund, we did a rate study on sewer, and the reality is we need to be about $50 a quarter higher than where we are. We'll be scheduling a joint session between the board and the municipal authority to discuss how best to proceed there. And finally, part of the 26 budget proposal will include a feasibility study into a stormwater management fee. We've had a lot of internal staff level discussion about whether it's best to be a separate fee or included in our overall tax rate. And we believe the best option is a fee. The number of stormwater issues continue to rise, especially as the intensity of the storms increase. And the system just isn't designed for the volume of water we received from a lot of these short duration, high intensity storms. By doing a fee, we're able to capture our tax-exempt property owners, some of which are significant contributors to stormwater. So that's a lot, but like I said, we'll have a proposed budget presented to you in November and voted on in December with more discussion to come. And I do just kind of want to frame that I pulled our current general fund budget forecast for 2026. And while there are a number of departments that still need to enter expenditures. Right now, it looks like budget-wise, our total revenues are down by about $600K, and our total expenditures are actually down by about $194,000. So we'll see how all that kind of plays out, and we'll dig into it before really bringing it to you. Any questions there?
No.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Well, actually, I do have a question. The open space tax that we passed, that some of that money, I know a certain percentage can be used towards park maintenance. Will that take away from some of the budget of park maintenance, or does that just add to the budget? You know what I mean? Will that help offset some of the costs on our current maintenance
Right. I think that needs to be a discussion that we need to have, because we can do both, right? I think that there are a number of projects
Mm-hmm.
on the horizon. We need to see what kind of grants we're going to end up getting for Shimona Peck Nature Play, how much of that might be able to use for that. We have Rossi coming up. As we've been building out the capital budget, one of the things that we've included are like future trail connections. And so all of that kind of chips away at the 25% that we collect each year. But it's a conversation to be had, certainly.
Okay.
I will say, on a positive note, so it's not all doom and gloom about the budget, with the enactment of the open space tax, I mean, that's $500,000 that we had included in last year's budget that now we have a dedicated source for through the open space funding. So, right off the bat, we ought to, on the expenditure side, we're down already $496,000 because that's able to be picked up by the open space fund.
And the emergency services tax as well. Will help
Correct.
We'll use that for our contributions to the Uwchlan ambulance.
Correct. We'll use that for contributions to Uwchlan ambulance. And then, what we haven't done, but what we could certainly can do is like we can allocate insurance costs attributable to the ambulance to that fund. And there's other allocations that we can look at towards other funds to help reduce the general fund obligations.
Okay.
No other questions? We move to the next item, the review of the Fire Police Planning Commission, intermunicipal agreements and manager ordinances.
So this review of these ordinances represents the final review of the ordinances under Part 1 administrative legislation. We said kind of early on in the year that we wanted to work through our entire set of non-saldo and zoning ordinance related ordinances. And so this is Part 1. The next set will be the meatier pieces around like parks and recreation and solicitation and different things like that. But these ordinances, I'll just kind of run through the changes that we're proposing. In Chapter 20 for fire police, we're recommending deletion of Section 20-2. The language was confusing as it places responsibility for fire police under administrative officers of the fire company in that particular section. But in another section, it places the fire chief in charge of fire police. And ultimately, in reviewing it, that section really deals more with the internal operations of the fire company and really has no relation to the township. So we'd recommend deletion of that particular section. In Chapter 51 for the Planning Commission, we're recommending the addition of a single sentence to Section 51.2 regarding membership. Right now, we appoint 2 ex officio members to the Planning Commission, but they don't have any voting rights. In kind of digging into this a little bit more, the function of those members really is inconsistent with the definition of ex officio. And ultimately, the MPC, the Municipalities Planning Code, has a provision that allows for appointment of alternates to the Planning Commission. And so what we're recommending is that, consistent with the MPC, we add the sentence, the Board of Supervisors may appoint up to 3 alternate members of the Planning Commission in accordance with the requirements of Article 2 of the MPC. That then gives the Planning Commission greater flexibility. It doesn't mean that we have to appoint 3 members, but we could. So it gives us flexibility there. And then in the event that the Planning Commission doesn't have a quorum of voting members, the chair of the Planning Commission could promote one of those alternates, much the way the zoning hearing board functions. So it's really just giving us flexibility there and making it a little more consistent with the MPC. And then right now we only have 1 member appointed as an ex officio, so they would become an alternate member. And then we could figure out if we wanted to appoint others there. In chapter 27, which is the intermunicipal agreements, we're recommending deletion of 2 articles and a correction to the title of one of the articles. So we're recommending deletion of the text of Article 2, which relates to water service area agreement, and the deletion of the text of Article 11 relating to the Downingtown Area Community Planning Group. The water service area agreement is no longer valid since we don't provide water service, and the Downingtown Area Community Planning Group is no longer a functioning body. And while it's great in concept, no one else seems to have it in their ordinances. So we're recommending removal of those 2 sections. And then Article 10, which is currently titled the Mutual Utility Alliance, it really should be the Municipal Utility Alliance. And that's a program in the Municipal League's energy purchasing program, which we've been a long time participant in. And even though we're looking to exit that program, we thought it best to remain a viable option and continue to be there, but just clean that up instead of mutual, have it be municipal.
Yep.
And then finally, chapter 39 for manager, recommending some fairly significant changes which reflect a more modern day approach to municipal management, as well as making it gender neutral. I missed 2, so thank you. I thought I had gotten all of them.
I proved that I read it too.
That's right. I believe ultimately the changes reflect the way things work or we want them to work. The one note that I'll have, and I think I left it in this draft, 39-8, which is procedural limitations on the Board of Supervisors. It could really kind of go either way. Essentially, what that paragraph says is that the supervisors won't interfere in the day-to-day operations and management of the township. I did some research of the 39 municipalities, of the 39 second-class townships in Chester County. I think 3 of them have language like that or similar to that. And, in no way is it a reflection on this board, because this board's fantastic and you let everybody do our job. It's more of just whether we want to have something in place that protects the staff from potential future boards or things like that. In talking with our solicitor about this, he had a little bit of pause on that section and thought maybe we make it a policy. Ultimately, all of this is subject to recall because the board can rescind ordinances or parts of ordinances. But it's really a kind of a discussion around, did we want to leave that in there or not?
I don't have a problem with it in there. I do think it's not very enforceable.
Are you talking about 39-8?
Yeah.
If someone wanted to abuse the privilege, they're going to be able to abuse it without any repercussions. But I think it's nice to have it in there as like at least on paper you say you're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think we've had that I think there's been examples that people could point to in places that I've heard of. So, let's just leave it
It's
at
not
that.
another he in section L, I guess.
Yes. Which were there were 2 that I missed. L.
Yeah, this is not updated.
Oh, it's not updated? Okay. The ones
Yeah.
at the top,
And then
okay,
there was
cool.
one other that,
In M, in the second clause of that sentence.
yes. And then M also. So L and M both have he's that I've corrected, but
Okay.
you don't have that,
Cool.
that updated version.
Yeah, I don't have any comments. Looks good. And no other comments, move to the September business agenda review.
All right. We've got quite a bit on here. It's mostly administrative in nature. And this is in no particular order. This was kind of a brain dump of everybody just adding to it. We'll rearrange it for the actual meeting. There's an ordinance establishing a four-way stop at Worthington and Pine Creek. We had advertised that last month. There's a resolution establishing the minimum obligations for the township's 2 pension plans for 2026. There's appointment of a police special counsel. One of our attorneys left his current law firm and went to a different one, and so our recommendation would be to follow him. Authorization to enter into a contract for pipelining services. Still waiting on a second quote, so that may or may not go. We'll see. But that's to line a couple of pipes off of Deep Willow. There's a reappointment of our HR consultant and authorization to enter into contracts relating to a police chief search. There's a resolution for us to join the Southeast Pennsylvania Sustainable Energy Partnership. We are the only municipality that's been invited to join this, and we would be the first one. Lots of benefits there, I think. Potentially adoption of a HIPAA privacy policy. We're still reviewing some final pieces there. Some authorization for advertisements. One is for a public hearing regarding a cable franchise renewal for Comcast. And then the other is amendments to all of the ordinances we just reviewed. There's a resolution supporting sustainability certification. We're in the final stages of getting ready to file our application with the Municipal League for our sustainability certification. One of the things we have to do is adopt a resolution saying that we're committed to that. And then there's permission to advertise a conditional use hearing on an amendment to Eagle View Town Center 2. Anything? So,
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, is there any other business to discuss? Any public comments? I don't see anyone on.
Ask the crowd.
Yeah, right. Not gonna get it. A motion to adjourn?
So move.
1 second. All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.